You can.
I can. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commbox Live, where the game lives on, it never dies. I'm Babar Azam, who you can find at DefMango on Twitter. With me is my good mate Rob Barron, who you can find at Moso Judge on Twitter. And for the very first time in this T20 World Cup on Commbox Live, we've got former Indian player and 2007 T20 World Cup winner in Robbie Uthappa. Robbie, how are you doing? How does it feel to be live and cover this stupid game of cricket?
I've been very good. Yes, it has been a stupid game of cricket, hasn't it?
It's been bizarre. I can't even wait to listen to Rob Barron because he usually has a lot of flowery words to share with us. But ultimately, England defeated. Yeah.
I can feel that Rob wants to speak. I think we need to kind of set the stage for him. It's like he's waiting to kind of unload.
Yeah, I'll set the stage up for him, all right. So ultimately, England defeated Pakistan by 2 wickets and 5 balls to spare. They have sealed their spot in the semi-final. They're the first semi-finalists, in fact, for the 2026 T20 World Cup. Rob Barron, you and I were talking about how we expect this game to be chaotic, and whichever team outstupids the other one will end up losing. That's exactly what's happened here, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of two drunk men falling over each other trying to hail a cab. It was that sort of game, wasn't it? It was just utter nonsense from start to finish. And it's so reliable that you're going to get nonsense from these two teams. So when the bit that I can't work out is which one's going to do the stupid thing and when exactly is it going to happen. And there were bits of really good cricket, like Brook played the knock of the tournament there. Absolutely wonderful. Can't take that away from him. Somehow Shaheen got his stuff back, right from ball one.
What was that about?
I mean, I don't know how it happened.
When he got picked, we were like, what are they doing? Getting him back. Babar threatened when he got 2 boundaries off Jofra to be good at cricket again, and then he went right back into his box. I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start in the first innings?
No,
fielding.
I actually wanted to start at the toss because when it comes to stupid shit, I think Pakistan outstupided England right at the toss. We had seen night games in Palakele. The Sri Lanka-Australia one comes to mind, where we saw that they will be due in the second innings and it becomes easier to bat. Salman Ali Agha is great at winning the toss. I feel like he wins like over 70% of his tosses. No other captain has won that many tosses in a certain amount of games that they have captained for. And he opts to bat first. Now, there might be a bit of PTSD over here that Pakistan become Panikistan when they are chasing. But surely you have to factor in the due, right, Robbie? I mean, this was a ground in which we had evidence where you should be chasing and Salman Ali Agha opted to bat first. And weirdly enough, Harry Brook said that he would have batted first as well. So that tells you everything.
That is PTSD from the previous game, right, Behram? I think when you look at it, the previous game again was a slow wicket. There was rain involved in the previous day. So the ground looked heavy. It looked like it was literally watered down too much. And the wicket was really slow. Batting second was tough. Even though it was a day game, batting second was really, really difficult. They kind of skittled these guys, these Sri Lankans out for under 100 or maybe just over 100. So I think they took into consideration that game. And then I think the PTSD from that game is what led to the decision for Salman to actually bat first. But the wicket was really, really good. And compared to, the previous game at Palakele, the wicket was a lot better. Even the commentators were saying that, this is a much better wicket. It looks like a much more sporting wicket. And you saw that there was enough in it. Like even when Shaheen was bowling, there was enough swing in it. It didn't make sense. I think in hindsight, they would have thought about, okay, maybe batting second would be a better idea on that track. But again, both teams in that sense haven't really exercised, I would say, deep thought about, or mental fortitude about, how they're going to go about their business. And I think it's when I look at this England side, it feels like there's not a lot of depth there for some reason. And
I suppose what you could say is that they do have a lot of depth, given that Adil Rashid comes and bats at 11, but there isn't quality in that depth. And this was Harry Brook versus Pakistan in the second innings anyway. Yeah, mental depth.
This depth. That's what.
Well, don't have any of that.
Yeah, that's a separate story altogether. My assessment of the pitch was that it was kind of a slow pitch. No violent turn, though, not a minefield, and there was lateral movement with the new ball. We saw it with Jofra in the first innings and Shaheen in the second innings. But then, Rob Barron, it did get very, very wet in the second innings. We had some evidence from the previous games at Palakele that that's what the night games do. You were better off chasing. What's your assessment of the entire situation?
Yeah, so I didn't mind the call at the toss. I think both of them would have batted first. I think they got the dew wrong a bit. So I watched Moeen talking about the pitch. He was actually on the pitch before the game, and he was saying, I think what's going to happen here is it will start spinning after 15 overs or so and get progressively more spinny, is what he said. So that would have made the call the right one. However, the dew was probably more than we all thought it was going to be, because basically it did start to spin. Rashid had it ragging at one point, and then it stopped spinning as much as it was, and the dew took over a bit. But it wasn't easy, I don't think. I don't think it was easy chasing conditions. I think Brook just made it look easy because he was playing on another planet for at least half an hour, where it just looked where wherever you bowled, he was going to find a way to get it to the rope. It was a very, very good knot. I think that the call was fine. You know, we could, if you want to talk about dumb decisions, we don't need to worry about the toss. Let's just start the cricket.
I suppose we'll come to the dumb decisions, but before, let's talk a bit about the performances. You mentioned Harry Brook. I'd be surprised if he's not player of the match because he was sensational today. First smart move that he promoted himself to first drop. He does struggle versus spin, so he brought himself on versus pace. And this was his maiden T20 100, and he just attacked from the word go as well. 28 ball 50, doubled up in the next 22 deliveries. So 100 off 50 and then got out next ball. So 100 off 51 for him. And, this is the fourth T20 100 in this World Cup. And this was his highest score versus, any team, his top score ever, because it's his maiden 100. And he loves Pakistan, Robin Uthappa. Harry Brook, if you take Pakistan out of his career, maybe the numbers will not look so good, will they?
Yeah, I think some batters have this, affection for certain teams. The confidence just kind of goes through the roof. There's an odd saying amongst cricketers where, sometimes you pick up a bat and you're going to score runs with that bat. Sometimes the bat just has that feel where you're like, oh man, there's a lot of runs in this bat. And it's similar with a lot of other with teams, sometimes with venues. For example, Mohammad Azharuddin and VVS Lakshman, Rohit Sharma. You take Rohit Sharma and Eden Gardens and Lakshman and Azharuddin and Eden Gardens, then you know that it's a match made in heaven and runs will always come. Similarly, I think with Pakistan and Brook, there is that affection for Pakistan. You just know that I'm going to score runs. You just know that you're going to be successful. It gives you a lot of confidence mentally that you'll perform really well. I think it's just one of those things for Harry.
Rob Barron, Brook, of course, scores 100 of 51. He was the batter of this game. And, I often compare him to Cole Palmer. I think he's the Cole Palmer of cricket because he's incredible. We know he's incredible. But sometimes he does lack that mental depth, as Robbie says. But today he was smart. The amount of twos that England accumulated in this game, that was a difference maker because Pakistan's twos come when they were attempting fours and then they ultimately became twos. Whereas England was smart about how they nudged the ball or tucked the ball on the onside and continue to accumulate those twos. And I think they killed Pakistan with their twos today.
Yeah, I think you don't often hear me say this, but England were smart for periods of that game. I think Pakistan allowed them to get them the twos at critical times. I mean, it was 5 in 14 balls or something, wasn't it, at one point? At a crucial time when they were just beginning to put the squeeze on again, and then all the Pakistan fielders were on their heels and not gunning the ball back over the stumps. There was no intensity at all with that fielding. So England picked him off, which was really smart. Curran couldn't do the clever thing. He just buggered about for 15 or 15. And then he got the pie and hit it straight to the fielder on the rope. So that was like, well, England are always going to stupid at some point. But Brook was too good today. So when it was bad balls, he just got rid. And when it was Tariq came back on, he was like, all I need to do with this guy is just take the ones that are on offer. And then Pakistan made those ones into twos by being on their heels and not fielding as they should have done. However, Pakistan were the best fielding team in that game by a million miles. And they fielded crap. England's... I do bang on about fielding. Robbie, it's not that hard, is it, if you're a professional athlete, to stop the ball with your hands and legs and throw it and catch it? And it can't be, can it?
You're asking the man who ran out Imran Nazir in the 2007 World Cup final. So he knows a thing or two about fielding.
Well, the thing is, for me, Pakistan's, I think, weakest link is its fielding, right? And also just the way they operate as teams, they tend to implode from time to time. In fact, multiple times during the course of a game, right? And so you can almost kind of depend on it as an opposition, where you can feel like at some point something is going to give, right?
Yeah.
With Pakistan's fielding. And in general, guys, the fielding in this World Cup has been quite abysmal. Right? If you've seen, like, even teams like South Africa have dropped like 4 catches in a row. India have dropped the most number of catches, I think, in this World Cup. It's it's not been great with fielding. And so I think with Pakistan in this game, England have been pretty poor as well in this game. And I think Pakistan, you can almost kind of depend on the fact that they will be a little lackluster at fielding at some point during the game, and teams can take advantage of that. And the thing is, when you put Pakistan under pressure, they tend to unravel, right? And especially on the field, when you put them under pressure, they tend to unravel very quickly, and they kind of, they kind of fall back on the fact that, okay, we've unraveled right now. So if it's even a semblance of a 2 happening, they'll give in to the fact that it's going to be a 2. They don't take ownership of their fielding.
It's interesting, Robbie, because I've been following Pakistan's T20I unit under Mike Hesson, and they were an improved bowling and fielding team in this little era. Yeah. It's the batting that has cost them consistently. And today, too, I feel like Pakistan just didn't put enough bad balls away. Like, there were a lot of short balls by Adil Rashid in his first over, which should have been smacked. And they just couldn't get him away, right? So that is their Achilles heel for me. But the fielding today, I don't even know who did worse. I've got the ledger, if you guys will listen to this. It's quite hilarious. So first innings, Farhan is dropped on 10, but it's tough to call or harsh to call that a drop, the Phil Salt effort in the deep, right? Well, Rob Barron will call it a drop, but I think it's a bit harsh. Jacob Bethel had multiple misfields, very poor ones, and those balls went for 4. Harry Brook dropped Shadab on 4, and Shadab plays a cameo, which takes Pakistan to 164, and there was a run-out missed in the last over. If you think it doesn't get wilder than this, you are mistaken, because, Usman Tariq dropped, I think, Jacob Bethel on 6, but that didn't hurt Pakistan. Bethel went out soon after. Shaheen had a misfield in the deep that went for 4. There were other misfields. Farhan took a really splendid catch. Usman Khan's keeping was good, but Pakistan lacked the intensity in the field, I felt. And that's what ultimately cost them.
Yeah, so Pakistan misfielded at really crucial times, and England just misfielded all the way through. There was more. Curran did one, Jacks did one. Like, England were just rubbish in the field. I think that has to be a concentration thing. It can't just all of you be rubbish at fielding at once. Can't blame the lights or the grass or whatever. Like, they just had a really, really bad day. And then Pakistan, I mean, the end summed it up for me. Pakistan, as they always do, were like 1,000,000 to win that game. And then all of a sudden, Nawaz puts the choke on in the 19th. And you think England might actually somehow mess this chase up. And then with, what did they need? 4 from 7 balls, hit it straight back to Nawaz. Nawaz just misfielded it, got Jofra on strike. Then they don't bowl the spinner in the last over, which is mental. You have to up the volatility there, right? And bowl either the leggy or Ayub, I guess. But you can't just bowl a pacer who just chucks it down in the slot and Jofra smashes it for 4 and that's the end of the game. You just murdered them with spin in the 19th. So do it again. Put another spinner on and keep them, they're in the middle of being choked. Don't let them just walk away from it and take your hands off the neck, right? Like, teams like Australia, they never would have done that there. The crucial misfield, there's like everybody's on it. Everyone has got to be on the balls of your feet. Expect every ball to come to you. And Pakistan were just stood there with their hands in their pockets thinking, I hope this ball doesn't come to me. They fielded better than England, but when the game was on the line, they were just sort of whistling and looking up at the sky going, oh, well, never mind. It's only a World Cup game. They're not dead, though, Pakistan. They're not out, are they? There's still a route back.
Listen. I also think I want to chip in here about Salman and his leadership, right? Oftentimes there are some decisions that he takes which is just like it's not strategic. It's like, okay, this is what is pre-decided, so I'm just going to go for this, right? That last over against India, when Shaheen Shah bowled the last over, like literally everyone knew that was going to be a 20-run over, right? Yeah. Like, if he had just bowled a spinner in that over, he probably had a better chance of giving maybe less than 12 runs in that over, because the wicket was doing a little bit. And the same thing here, as in when the wicket is doing something, when you can be strategic, when your captaincy can stand out, and you can take a stand as a captain. He's actually not done that, and that tells you a story that he's probably not calling all the shots on the field. It's probably being called for him, like a couple of other teams in this World Cup.
Yeah, it's a fascinating observation. I think he hasn't had a good decision-making tournament, Salman Ali Agha, and a lot of that must be Mike Hesson as well, because he is a very hands-on coach. But yeah, I mean, look, as far as his captaincy in this game goes, I think he starts off poorly at the toss, and I'm going to die on that hill because I saw the Australia-Sri Lanka game and I was sold that you need to chase over here because Pathum Nissanka showed us how easy it gets to bat. But then even after that, I think he starts off well with his power play bowling changes, and Nawaz bowls the sixth over when you've got Saim Ayub, who does well in the power play, and he's got the carom ball. And England do freak out when there's just one extra, trick in any bowler's sleeve or up any bowler's sleeve. And Nawaz goes for plenty in that over, I think 17. England at the end of their power play were 53 for 3. They lost wickets, but they didn't need to go crazy to win this game. They just needed to knock it around and put the bad balls away. And Pakistan's batting was a bit lackluster, right? Like in their power play, they were 46 for 2. So they were 7 runs behind England. At the 10-over mark, Pakistan was 70 for 2, whereas England were 82 for 4. Sure, more wickets lost, but again, you don't need to do much in the last 10 overs to win this game. And by the 15th over, Pakistan had only managed 112 for 3, whereas England were 124 for 5. Even after that moronic, spell by England at the end where they kept losing wickets, this game was always in the bucket. You could say that they could have lost this, or England could have won this game by 13, 14 balls to spare, and they win it by 5 balls to spare. And that might end up helping Pakistan as far as net run rate goes, because Pakistan now require England to beat New Zealand and New Zealand to just stay at 3 points, right? That's what they need. And then potentially they can defeat Sri Lanka and come through to the semis on net run rate. But it's classic Pakistan to rely on a calculator, and they pretty much never have fate in their own hands. The one time they had fate in their own hands in 2021, they botched that semi-final versus South Africa. Oh, sorry, Australia.
But can you blame, like today, like Pakistan, can you blame someone like Saibzada Farhan for the way he batted? Like he's the only guy who's in good form, right? He's got Saim Ayub, who's not hitting the ball well. He's got Salman Agha, it feels like he's forgotten how to bat. And he's got Babar Azam at number 4. He has no respite anywhere. There's no one taking pressure off him. He's absorbing all the pressure and scoring all the runs, right? If he had, say, Saim Ayub in decent form, Fakhar Zaman, for his benefit and to his credit, is a guy who's actually batting well, right? If you saw him in this game, he's actually batting well. It would augur well for Pakistan to have him go at number 3. And Salman's anyway not scoring runs. Push him down to number 5 and see what he can do there at number 5. Because when you lose back-to-back wickets, which is actually happening, because Salman's like playing some absolute shit shots and getting out. Like if they send Fakhar up at number 3, it actually gives a little respite for someone like Farhan to actually play more positively. He can't afford to play more positively because by the time Babar comes into bat, who's batting essentially run a ball, he can't afford to get out. He can't afford to take risks as a batter. From a cricketing perspective, there's no chance he can take risk, even if he wants to, right? You could see there were periods where you're like, I just want to play a big shot and score a 6 or a 4. But he can't afford to. There's a part of him that's just restricting him from taking that shot, from taking that big shot.
Well, Varun has some fun stats over here for us. He says Farhan was 50 of 22 playing attacking shots and 13 of 20 playing strike rotation shots today. That has been a bit of his weakness. Saibzada Farhan is not a great rotator of strike. It's like dot or boundary for him. Yeah, I mean, he has had that trend for a while, and he said he's been working on it. But again, I agree with Robbie in the sense that, sure, Saibzada Farhan gets to his 50 of 37 balls, which you would consider a tad bit slower, and then he ends up with 63 of 45, which is... or those scores are flattering because he scores a 6 and a 4 off his last 2 balls before getting out. But he is Pakistan's highest run scorer and the highest run scorer in this tournament as well thus far. He scored over 1/3 of Pakistan's runs, and other guys aren't really supporting him at all. Saim Ayub's having a stinker with the bat. Salman Ali Agha at 3 is fascinating. He's a slam dunk liability at every other position, Robbie. I've done a lot of analysis on him. They have to play him at 3. That's what the scenario is, because everywhere else his record sucks. It's just number 3 where he does well, but your thought is noble. Fakhar is an attacking batter. Give him the power play. So I suppose there's something in there.
Yeah, because you also need, if you're going with left-right, then you can exchange Saim. You keep Saim Ayub and Salman Agha as 3-4. So if a lefty gets out, send the lefty up. If a righty gets out, send the righty up. That way you have left-right going on. And then you have Babar at number 5. Like I would, like, I don't know. I don't understand the logic behind Babar at number 4 and Babar in T20 cricket at this point in time. As in, with all due respect to him as a cricketer, I don't think this version of the game is his version. I still think the one day and Test cricket are his versions of the game. And I think here, even again, he was 10 of 6 balls, Rob. And from there, he went to 24 or 25 or 24 and didn't score any more boundaries after that. You could see there was no intention to take a double through the whole through the whole innings. Every ball he hit to the deep was hit firmly.
That's another thing with Babar. He can't run. He runs like a granddad. And when he went 4-4 against Jofra, you're like that's the hardest bit at the start of this game. Was Jofra's first spell. It was really good, and I thought they did fine. Like, I thought Farhan did fine to survive that. Never mind score runs off it. Like the first couple of overs were really tough. And when Babar went 4-4, I was saying to the guys in the chat, I was like, well, this isn't what we thought was going to happen. Is he actually going to do a good one now? And then when he gets out for 25 off 25, what they're doing, and I would absolutely hate this if I was a fan of Pakistan or if I was in a sports team, is that we lose because we just kept deferring risk, right? We just kept going, oh, well, someone will do it later, or we'll try and score some runs later on. They were 3 down after 15 overs. And they spent half of those 15 overs pootling around, just taking ones. When you should have somebody whacking all the time in T20 cricket, somebody should be smashing. And if you've got wickets in hand, what the hell are you doing? Not even bothering to run the second one hard. Somebody should be trying to hit every ball for 6. And with 5 overs to go, Farhan had 50. Babar had stunk out the place again. For when he played the spin today, right? It used to be that Babar could do the Kohli thing of however many he's got in the power play, he then gets to 50 in singles. Every single ball off a spinner is a single. Kohli did it for a few years in the IPL. He's much more aggressive now. Babar doesn't have that in his locker anymore because he used to be a perfectly, as good a player of spin for scoring at strike rate 100 and 110 as anyone's ever been, right? And today he was just plonking that front foot, not really knowing which way it was spinning. Rashid bowled a rubbish opening 9 balls. Babar was nowhere near it. It was just pummeling into the pad, or he was just missing it. And so he's chewed up. But they keep picking him, Robbie, don't they? And Stevie Wonder can see that he's rubbish at T20 cricket, right? It's not difficult. He's garbage now. He was quite good when he's opening with Shardil Khan or whatever in the PSL, who's trying to score at strike rate 300. He's fine. He can be. Correct. I mean, Kallis used to do it for KKR, didn't he? Just walk off 62 not out, shake everybody's hand. Wasn't I brilliant? So, well, yeah, but it's because you had 6 guys hoofing it. You can't have other people knocking it around when Babar is doing his blocking, because if it doesn't go perfect last 5 overs, you've got below par, which you can't do against England, right? You can't just go, oh, well, we're going to be fine if we get below par against England, the best death-hitting team in it. England are crap and England are stupid, but you can't let them have wickets in hand at the end with a below par score and hope they mess it up. That's a really bad tactical effort, isn't it?
You can pick 3 guys right now who can play instead of Babar Azam at number 4. I'd play Usman Khan there. I'd actually play Fahim Ashraf even. With the way he's batting, I have no idea how he's not playing in the 11. It's like what, are people brain dead? What's this?
I've got a lot of stuff to unpack over here because I've been listening to you two. And Jared and I recorded a footmarks on Babar prior to this T20 World Cup because he had a Big Bash League campaign to forget. He was denied singles. He was storming off, being pissed. He's clearly in a rut mentally. And what separates a good player or a very good player from a great player is evolution. Babar is a very, very gifted batter. We've seen him hit an incredible peak in international cricket. He might not ever have been a great T20 bat, but he's been very, very good in T20s when the game hadn't evolved at a rapid rate, because there's been an exponential transformation of T20 cricket, right?
Yes.
Let's not get that wrong. But I was questioning Mike Hesson. Right? Yeah?
People don't get that the game's evolved so quickly. Even in the last 3 years, the evolution in the game has been manic, man. It's hard to keep up with. People... today, because we watch the game so often and we watch every game, we see we're up to date with the evolution of the game. But the guys playing the game, they live in silos, right? And what brings them success. And they're not evolving as the game is evolving. And so that's why it feels like chalk and cheese. What's happened to a Babar Azam? Just that he hasn't evolved with the game. That's all it is. Nothing else.
But, Hessen, prior to the tournament, said that we are looking at Babar as someone who can offer some control in the middle. He can prevent a collapse. He himself, in a presser in this tournament, has said that Babar can play in the power play because he can maximize the power play. And we won't send Babar in after over number 10 because he can maximize the death. So Babar's literally there for 4 overs. And that in its own doesn't make sense to me. Pakistan were in a 9-2 formation before this game. They were batting till 9 with Fahim Ashraf at 9. They go back to 8-3. In this game, they're batting till 8 and they get rid of Fahim Ashraf, who literally is the reason they made it to the Super 8s. His knock versus the Netherlands is the reason. And Max O'Dowd's dropped catch, right? So dropping him was weird. Shaheen was, brought in, but at least he had a good game. So these things are probably, mentioned in hindsight. But why not drop Babar? What is the point of having an insurance batter when you are batting deep? And clearly Babar hasn't been a good middle over spin negotiator either. Forget Basher. He had to be a negotiator, and he scored 48 runs in 48 balls in this T20 World Cup, and he's been dismissed thrice. So, after those 2 boundaries versus Jofra, he looked clueless. There were a few singles he looked confident in when he was playing off his back foot versus spin. But other than that, he's never been able to pick Adil Rashid's wrong one. That's been a theme in his career. And I think this is it. Like, he had his last chance a while back in T20s for me. Personally, I don't want him to see in a Pakistan jersey in T20 internationals anymore. Even Nafe is in the mix, right? He could have played ahead of Babar. But it's unfortunate to see. It's also, I think he hasn't handled fame well because it's the social media age. And of course, Robbie, you know how fan clubs work in our countries, right? Yeah. You've seen it with Rohit, Kohli, Dhoni. Babar has a very similar thing going on in Pakistan over here, where his fans will gatekeep his shit performances and his detractors will look for moments where they can sling mud at him. So that's just the nature of the beast now, and I feel like Babar hasn't coped well with it.
Yeah. It's also hard to cope with, right? And Rob, think about it. It's like today you're dealing not just with your performances on the field, you're dealing with your narratives and your legacy off the field. It's become more front and center today. So it has such a huge impact on the way you even approach your own game. There's so much more, like, I would say, pressure that as an athlete has to kind of navigate through simply because of the narratives that he's trying to build for himself as far as his legacy is concerned.
True.
So the thing is, right, if you want to set up your team with a Badrinath in it, right, somebody who is prepared to only bat when really needed. So I'm perfectly fine if you want to have a T20 team with a guy whose job it is to dig you out the shit if you get into it, or it's the guy on the tricky pitch who can negotiate you to a good score and let the other people whack around him. That's fine. But if that guy's in terrible form, you can't pick him because all he then does is put pressure on everybody else. So he got 150 grand sterling to play in the Big Bash, Babar, as a marketing thing mainly, right? Nobody's thinking that Babar's the guy to hit as many sixes as he can at the MCG. No one's thinking that, right? So Babar goes over and plays in the Big Bash and stinks the tournament out. And by the end of it, he was furious because the Steve Smith sent him back in the power surge or whatever it was, and then smoked 30 off the over and made Babar look a bit silly, then got out next ball and smashed the advertising hoardings or whatever it was, right? Babar apparently locked himself in the changing room, was really, really upset. So Babar's come into this tournament extremely upset and angry, and I'm sure the outside noise, Robbie, you'll know about all this, the outside noise must be deafening when you're having a bad trot and you've got a huge fan base and you've got people that slag you off and all the rest of it. It must be terrible. However, it takes a strong coach then to go, well, maybe we don't need Babar right now because he ain't the guy. 25 or 25 doesn't do you any good anytime. Yeah. And that's all he's capable of right now when he's trying his best. So there's no point in having him there. But when you're batting first and you've got loads of wickets in hand, Babar's not the guy. You don't need him. And it's going to take Rizwan got hooked, didn't he? In the Big Bash, he got retired out. Imagine if that happened. Let's say he's like 25 off 28 today, and Hessen goes, "Sorry, mate, we've got 7 in hand. Everyone else can hit, and you're not doing it." Then what happens to Babar?
He didn't bat versus Namibia, and that was the correct call. Pakistan got their batting order right over there. But I have a question for Robbie over here. So I was discussing this with Jared, and as Rob Barron mentions that Babar landed a $420,000 gig at the Big Bash League purely on commerce because he's going to sell shirts and he's going to draw crowds and all of that stuff because he has a very big fan base. He underperforms. He's miserable. Out of the 350 batters in Big Bash history who have scored 200 runs in a campaign, Babar's effort was the slowest. That tells you something. And then right after that, he bags a 250,000 gig in the PSL with Peshawar Zalmi. So there's a guy who isn't performing and is still landing in the cash. Doesn't that kind of not motivate you to be better? Even though I do think that he's incentivized to upskill. But the world isn't telling him to, because he's this brand which can be sold. And now, he continues to land the money without actually performing in T20s.
Well, see, the thing is, as an athlete, I can tell you something that it's not like you don't want to perform, you don't want to evolve. Sometimes you're just stuck in the rut of your own narrative and what you're trying to, and how you see things, and you live so much in a silo that you're not willing to take in outside perspective, right? And when you're not willing to take in outside perspective, or are you not taking outside perspective for whatever reason, you are literally cordoning yourself off to a place where nothing grows. Right? You're not willing to put yourself out there, right? He understands the business side of things. I'm sure everyone understands it today. Cricket's as much a business as it is a sport, right? It brings in the moolah, it does all of that, right? But for someone like him, he needs to be, I don't know, you need to tell me, does he have access to have actually meaningful conversations with former cricketers or people of the ilk, basically, to just kind of see where he is with his game and how far he is it from how far his game is from where cricket actually is today, where T20 cricket actually is today. Because today,
I'll tell you who he needs to speak to, Robbie. He needs to speak to Ajinkya Rahane, because that's a guy who had a very specific role. He was just a fours guy. He was a strike rate 120. And then Chennai went, well, we don't need that anymore. Like, we've got lots of younger people that can do that if we need, we've got Gaikwad and whoever else. We want you to whack it. And he went, all right, then I'll work that one out. And he changed his game completely, didn't he? He transformed.
I've got an answer as well.
In the IPL.
So I don't know Babar personally, but I know enough people in and around him. And there are two schools of thought over here. I'm sure there's truth to both of them. Number one, Pakistan have constant coach changes. We see what happened with Gary Kirsten and Jason Gillespie and that entire drama. So he hasn't had or spent enough time with one person to evolve, but Mike Hesson has been around. Initially, Babar wasn't part of Hesson's plans, but then he did bring him into the mix. So at least he's got some time with Hesson. The other thing is that I've been told that Babar is just a stubborn lad. He doesn't listen to any of the advice and he feels like he knows best. So I think he's been stubborn, and that's an issue. But also, it's not like he's been set up for success either. There's been a lot of politics in Pakistan cricket, as there always is. But then, Robbie, there's politics everywhere, right? Like, you can't use that as an excuse.
The flip side of that stubborn story is the fact that it is the stubborn ones that find a method to their madness and score runs and are successful, right? So why, when push comes to shove, when you're under pressure, you will always fall back on first principles. You'll go back to the stuff that's worked for you, and you will hold fast to that because that is the only thing that feels safe and familiar. It's human nature, right? And that is what, like, he's not doing something that any other successful person has done, right? Any other successful athlete has done. They all have their method to their madness and a way of scoring their runs or a way of being successful. And under pressure, they will always fall back on that stuff. They will never go back to something that is not right. Unless there's like, okay, listen, I need to, like, I recognize that this is it. I remember Rahul Dravid, at the back end of his career, he went to a place where he didn't have an initial movement, right? And it was like the fag end of his career. He was just standing, watching the ball and batting. Right, I remember asking Rahul Bhai, Rahul Bhai, you've scored over 20,000 international runs, more than that, right? As in 25, 30, 40,000, whatever. You've scored so many runs of international cricket with an initial movement. And here you are at the back end of your career, not using an initial movement at all. And what gives? And he was like, I just feel, given the way my body is feeling right now, I feel like I needed to have this part as an evolutionary piece in my batting. Right now, to have an open mind enough to choose what works for you at this point in time takes one, courage, right? Takes you saying that I'm not bigger than the game and I need to keep evolving with the game. And I don't know if there's people that he can trust where he can be vulnerable about his game and say, shit, man, this is not working. Do you have any suggestions?
And it's a very fantastic analogy over here, because I remember towards the end of Rahul Dravid's career, before that dreaded tour of Australia where he got Hilfenhaused, he had a great tour of England. He was brilliant on that tour, right? Yeah. And he even played a T20 international on that tour of England, which was amazing. And that kind of pays homage to his evolution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got a 50 or something in his T20 debut and then retired.
Yeah, it was
Played one, didn't
amazing
he?
stuff.
Only played one.
Yep,
Yeah, only
only
played
one.
one.
But
Yeah, first class. Yeah.
anyway, we've spent a lot of time on Babar. There's obviously other stuff to talk about. But before that, we will be taking a short break. You guys are watching Commbox Live with Behram and both the Robs, Rob Barron and Robbie Uthappa. Go nowhere. We will be back in very, very, 16 seconds or something. Stay here.
We love 100 years ago, something truly remarkable happened in cricket. No one knew how to get Bradman out. And so some of the smartest minds in English cricket got together in a smoke-filled room at Lords and they talked it out. It is no different than you talking with your uncle, with you whispering at the back of the bus, with you sitting around in the tea room arguing with your friends. This is what we do in cricket. We love the game, we talk about the game. And that is what we do at Commbox, where the game lives on.
Welcome back to Commbox Live. You guys are with Behram, Rob Barron and Robin Uthappa. And we've talked a lot about the batting performances and how Harry Brook was sensational. He took the game away from Pakistan and he deserves all the plaudits. But there were two English players who did really, really well today. Brook wasn't alone. Liam Dawson was terrific. Removed Salman Ali Agha with his third delivery. His figures read 1 for 12 in 2 power play overs. Then he had figures of 1 for 17 in 3 overs. And I was afraid Harry Brook is not going to bowl him out. I was legit terrified that he's going to do this because Will Jacks, after going for runs in his first over, was given another over. He ends up with none for 27 in 2 overs, which was stupid, in the words of Sunny G. But that didn't cost England much. I think that Dawson, with the control that he bowled, with the pace variations that he bowled, and then he eventually bowls that death over, is on a hat-trick after removing Usman Khan and Nawaz off successive deliveries. His figures of 3 for 24 were telling, and he's probably not going to be talked a lot about on other shows, but this is Commbox, so we're going to talk about him. What do you guys have to say?
He caught really well as well, Dawson. He pulled off a really good catch. So that's the thing with England is they have lots of people with lots of skills, and when you want to win matches in World Cups, you need people to step up at certain times. And Rashid didn't have a very good day today, I didn't think. Yep. And Dawson stepped right up and was like, okay, I'll be the gun spinner then. And he bowled like the gun spinner, didn't he? Because that last over probably saved 15 and his catch probably saved 10. It was a really tough catch, that one, the first one.
Yeah.
So... yeah, well done to Dawson for stepping into, because if he had a bad day alongside Rashid, then what do Pakistan score? I mean, who knows? Because Pakistan have got to beat themselves, never mind the other team that are playing against them. But there was a way that Pakistan could have got 185. There was a way that they could have got rolled for 140 if England would have fielded properly and used any sense and not bowled jacks when all the other bowlers are doing really well. But when you've got two dumb teams doing dumb things all the way through, they probably scored about what they were due. They probably 165 was about right, considering they did dumb things. The batting order wasn't very good. The intent was crap, and England were fielding. I mean, I don't want to give an analogy of what England were fielding like. It wasn't like human beings, was it? It was just hopeless. So they get 165, 164, and then the real fun starts. But yeah, Dawson, great. Plenty of experience playing against Pakistan players, though, don't forget. Has had his goes in the PSL, hasn't he, Behram?
True. He's been a success in the PSL as well. He's been a title winner, I believe, with Islamabad United, and he is just generally an experienced campaigner. He knows the T20 format really well, and I do like his accuracy and his pace variation. I feel like he keeps the batters thinking, and Pakistan doesn't really know how to play slow left armers. I don't know if you guys have caught on to this, but Rangana Herath took a quarter of his 400-plus test wickets versus Pakistan. Rangana Herath is a legend because he played Pakistan so frequently. Okay, so this is an issue with Pakistan, but I don't want to take anything away from Liam Dawson. I thought he was fantastic as well.
You're taking so much away from Rangana Herath, man. He's an insane bowler.
He was brilliant. No, I just had to take the piss out of Pakistan for this one. But, I thought Brook made a lot of mistakes. It was fine to give Will Jacks 1 over versus Fakhr. Conceded 2 boundaries, you don't give him another over. You bowl Sam Curran out. Pace off. He doesn't do that. And England drop a couple of catches. There's a lot of misfields. Despite that, Pakistan managed 165. And at the 7-over mark, Pakistan were 55 for 2. How do you not accelerate slowly from there on? They scored 15 runs in the next 3 overs. That's just like lackluster. And I feel like Pakistan, they try to be pragmatic, but they aren't the greatest team when it comes to kind of pacing in innings, Robbie. And pacing in innings is something you know very well about because you were damn good at it in the IPL.
Pragmatic is not a word that you'd use for Pakistan's middle over batting at all. I wouldn't
Stupid,
use that at all.
lethargic.
Like, come on, guys. You have two set batters there, right? You have to read the game, right? And you got as Babar, you've lost Aga, you've lost Saim Ayub. You have this guy who's scoring runs. You want to take pressure off him. You want to take the onus on yourself to score a boundary every over post the power play, and then make sure that you rotate the strike. You want to play as minimum dot balls as possible. You want to get at least 9 runs and over, right? Yeah, and whether it's a 4 or a 6, you need to take one risk. You watch the best batters bat, right? You watch a Virat Kohli, a Hardik Pandya, Shreyas Iyer, everyone in the first couple of balls in the over, they always are taking a risk, right? Because even if they do get out, from a team perspective, the new batter still got a few balls coming and still get a boundary and take pressure off the team again, right?
Yeah.
When you lose a wicket in the last ball of the over or the second last ball of the over, there's pressure in the new over as well. So it slows down the run rate. So you got to read the game, which is something that Babar hasn't been doing. And I think
it's not just him though. I'm sorry to interject over here, but as a batter, tell me, your team has slightly recovered. The scoring rate is fine at the moment. And sure, Liam Dawson might be bowling brilliantly, but Adil Rashid is bowling dragbacks. You're not rocking back and pulling him away for 6. You're letting go of the bad balls, and that's just something you cannot afford to do in modern day T20s.
You can't. And for me, not in defense of Farhan, but just as an observational piece of the pressures that you bear as a player, you take responsibility. Where, like, if I bat through, I will, like, he got what in the 14th over? Did Farhan get out in the 14th, 15th over, right? If he batted 5 more overs, you'd probably got another 100. Right? Another 4 overs, you probably got another 100, right? And so for him, in the form that he's in, you want to maximize your form and you want to maximize serving your team. So I can understand from his point of view where he feels between the 7th and the 10th over is not the time for me to take too much risk. Is for me for me to take the onus on myself to make sure I bat long. Because the more a batter in form bats, what tends to happen is the bowling team starts feeling the heat. Right, the minute they start feeling the heat, they start making errors in where they bowl, and then he can capitalize on it. But for that to happen actually really well, it's important for the other batter with him to actually take pressure off him and be the one taking the onus and being aggressive, which obviously Babar has not been doing through the tournament, right? Which is why, for me, I would use a Babar if you lose 2 wickets in the power play, like in the first 3 overs, first 4 overs. After that, I would send in a Fakhr Zaman, because if you had a Fakhr there, you had him to actually counter both the leg spinners. Then Will Jacks, who's already having a bad day, would have to bowl, right, to him and to Farhan, and Farhan has taken advantage of that fact when he did bowl today.
And if you think about it, those 2 cameos, right? Fakhr Zaman scores 25 of 16 and Shadab scores 23 of 11. Combined, they score 49 runs in 27 balls. Those runs were vital for Pakistan because without them, they just only have Farhan's innings. And so, I mean, they made a lot of mistakes, but there's one other batter I want to discuss, and I want both of your opinions on this guy. What is wrong with Jos Butler? He's one of the finest T20 players ever, and he scored 62 runs in this T20 World Cup, and he's looked completely out of sorts. He's 35 years of age as well. Yeah, what's your theory?
My theory is he doesn't relate with this team at all.
That's also Rob Barron's theory.
Exactly. He's Gen Z, and everybody else are Gen Alphas in this side, right? Or he's millennial, and everybody else is Gen Alpha. So there's no relation. And you suddenly I don't know if it's true, but you even saw that with Virat Kohli at a point, right? After he lost captaincy, he suddenly was like, "Where do I find myself in this unit?" Right? You have to find your space within a unit, right? Despite being a senior or a maybe not a veteran, but an entry-level player or someone who's been in the side for a period of time, you need to find yourself and you need to find what gets the best out of you. For Virat, it was the leadership where he felt the onus was on him. It took him maybe 2 or 3 years before he could feel like, I need to take the onus on myself. And only now is when we're seeing him, really thriving with his role and his performances, right? It's like a second wind that just come and taken over his career. With Jos, I think that's the thing. When I look at him, I feel like he's not all there, is he? Like, he just feels like he's out of place.
it doesn't feel like he knows where his next run is coming from. That's been a trend. He was very, very poor versus Sri Lanka, and he hasn't done much versus Pakistan over here either. Maybe wasted a few less deliveries because he only lasted for 3 balls. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to say he's finished, but because he's on the wrong side of 30, you never know where his career goes from here. Although,
his career will be thriving for a bit. But Rob, what is your take on this, man?
So Bayram asked me this, a week ago? And I said, I just don't think that he fits in with the culture. I don't think he likes it. So the culture is, let's play golf, let's get drunk, and if we've got time, we'll do a bit of cricket practice. And we're all really good at cricket, so we're going to win anyway, right? So,
while everyone else is drinking and playing golf and getting hammered, smoking cigars, Jos Butler is on a podcast with Stuart Broad, right? That's where he's at currently.
Because he loves cricket, right? So Butler, when he was at Manchester Originals, I play a lot of paddle, and he's playing paddle all the time. Butler, he's not out on the lash, being Mr. Big Stuff. He loves cricket. He's really, really good at cricket. He's probably England's best ever white ball cricketer, and he doesn't fit in with the setup of the let's dye our hair blonde and get drunk, and we'll whack it at cricket, and everyone will be fine, and it'll be a right old laugh. The McCullum ethos, right? He doesn't fit in with it. From where I'm looking, he doesn't fit in with it. It's a bit like Root in the Ashes, when they were all out getting smashed and throwing pocketfuls of dollars around in the streets, in between Test matches and getting leathered. Root went off with his wife and kids, didn't he? And said, "No, I'm not doing that because we're between Test matches, and my preparation is to concentrate on playing cricket. And if you lot want to get belted in the casino, I'll see you. See you at the 3rd Test or whatever." Right? Butler looks pissed off to me. He looks upset almost that he's having to fit in with this regime that clearly doesn't suit him. But when you've got someone that good, and he's not the Kohli character, is he, Robbie? He's not the I am the big star of English cricket. He's never been that guy. He's not on the posters. He doesn't want to be on the posters. He doesn't want the interviews. He doesn't want the limelight. He's not going to be Dwayne Bravo releasing 3 or 4 singles anytime soon, is he? He wants to play cricket and be really good at cricket. And I don't think, again, it needs strong management, which England clearly don't have, because they allow these clowns to misbehave and try and sweep it under the carpet, and nobody gets told off when they're mucking about. No one's accountable if they're shit. No one's accountable if they're doing the wrong things, because the management are doing the wrong things, right? But when you've got incredible talent at your disposal, you've got to look after it and make sure it thrives. And Butler isn't thriving in this environment, and it can't be that he's bad at cricket all of a sudden. It can't be that. When Rajasthan gave him the responsibility and went, "This is what we want you to do," Butler, that season where he got 700 runs or whatever it was in the IPL, he was the explosive anchor, which is the unicorn, isn't it? It's the guy that can bat well in all phases, and if he is around at the end, Kohli's very good at this, can score at 250 at the end of the game. Not 180. Butler's got all of it, and he's got 360-degree scoring. He's got building innings. He's done the back to the wall 100, and he's done the smoke it from ball 100. He's got the lot. But as somebody that bets all the time, we're on unders all the time for Butler now, because the bookies are assuming that Jos Butler's playing, and it ain't him right now, is it? It doesn't look like Butler. It looks like this guy, but I don't think he's washed or spent. He just needs an environment that allows him to thrive, and he'll be back.
I think that's totally checks out, and he does
on the head, man. Well done, Rob. I think you kind of encompass that beautifully. I think it's very true. I genuinely think he doesn't feel like he relates. Genuinely, he's one of the softest spoken cricketers I've ever come across. Like, I've had to strain when I was playing for RR. I'd have to strain my neck to actually listen to what he's saying, because he was so soft spoken. He's like so soft spoken. Him and Joe Root, dude, the two of the most soft spoken cricketers I've met in my life. Very gentle. Like, you have to strain. Did you guys go to the same school or something?
I've got a question for you, Robbie. Of course, we acknowledge that Butler looks like a shadow of himself, and there's this theory around culture. But tell me, how important is it in a dressing room environment that you have a sounding board? Because it feels like with England, they just have one mantra and they never question themselves, and they just will be dogmatic about it, right? Like, no, this is the way we play. We will continue to play this way, and we will not think.
Oh, I think it's just this era, right? I think this era of cricket is more like that. And it's like one-dimensional in the sense that, okay, this is how you play cricket, right? Like when I look at the fielding in this World Cup, I feel like a lot of these teams don't probably give fielding a lot of importance, right? I feel like a lot of importance is given to six hitting, a lot of importance is given to wicket taking, but not catching necessarily. Maybe a few far in between actually make the effort to actually go and do boundary line fielding, right? But in fielding, I don't think people are doing in fielding a lot nowadays. You know,
Well,
I
there's a
think a lot
flip
of
side argument to that. The argument is that now people play more attacking shots and there are more chances. That's what Jared says. This is me subbing in for Jared, right? But I do think you're right. I don't think these teams put in enough effort in the field when they're training because clearly the results are in front of us. There are a lot of drop catches these days.
They can't because so Bethel, when he first came on the scene, Bethel, I thought his fielding was as good as anyone. Like honestly, like top 5 fielders in the world. Bethel, he's got the lot, right? He's got a good physique, you know, long arms, and he's very good. The hand eye, he puts it all together, right? He's got the rocket arm. He can catch really well, and he's amazing at stopping the ball, like goalkeeper style. So how does he allow 6 runs or 5 runs through him today? It has to be concentration. It can't be anything else. Peterson was exactly the same. I've spoken about him before because Peterson was dozing and thinking about what a legend he was all the time and not concentrating on the fielding, right? He was just thinking about bloody, you know, when's my next, you know, discussion about what a legend I am, rather than being in the moment and in the game. And it must be something to do with concentration. There are people, so Tariq, Sorab spoke about this the other day, right? Tariq apparently has got one hand longer than the other one. If there is a man who is not a natural athlete in this World Cup, it's Usman Tariq, right? He's not a natural athlete. So when he drops a catch, even though it was easy, that isn't enormously surprising because cricket's a wonderful sport, right? And you can be good at cricket without being a natural athlete. We've had plenty of players down the years that are able to do that. But Bethel is a natural athlete, right? He looks like he's an athlete. So why the hell can't he field properly? It must, and that is down to coaching staff drilling into people that when you are playing in a World Cup game, you expect every ball to come to you. And if you don't want to do that, we'll get someone else because it's elite top level sport. You can't be whistling and wandering about and thinking about what you're going to have for dinner or what bar you're going to first. It's get your eyes on the job. Get pissed after you've won the World Cup, lads. And but all of that said, right, all of this murdering of England keep winning all the time. That's the maddening thing. That's the infuriating thing about this.
Think about it. Now. They've played poor cricket in this T20 World Cup. They've just got across the line on multiple occasions, and they're the first team to make the semi-finals. I think that is incredible on its own.
That itself is so unique, right? Rob, do you know if the England players have taken their golf kits to the World Cup?
Of course they have. Of course they have.
I understand golf kits traveling to franchise tournaments because they're long, they're lengthy, so you get some days off and you play golf in between. But as a professional cricketer going into a World Cup, especially a T20 World Cup, I wouldn't it just would feel wrong to carry any other sporting equipment when you're going to represent your country in the biggest tournament in the world.
It's not the England way. England are more likely to forget their cricket kit than they are to forget the golf clubs, I think. And
I understand it's a big part of their culture and they bond on it, and that's relatable, right? And that's nice.
It leads to players that don't like golf not being selected, though. It creates divisions. If you're not on the golf course playing for, you know, they're all playing for money all the time, by the way. That's what they do. They're gambling all the time, drinking all the time. And that's great fun if you're a young guy, right? Playing golf with your mates and gambling and drinking. That's a very English thing to do, is muck about. But, you know, that's what my mates are allowed to do because we're not representing our country and trying to win World Cups. So England were a disgrace in the Ashes. You know, they were pissing games away, almost literally pissing games away because they couldn't be asked. They weren't concentrating hard enough. They were getting drunk on pre-planned booze trips instead of concentrating on the cricket matches that they were in the process of losing, right? They could have easily got something out of that series. So surely, and we have the whole Harry Brook, you know, getting sparked by a bouncer stuff, which is a callback to Stokes doing the, you know, having his trouble with outside of nightclubs. How is this stuff still going on?
They lost Ben Duckett, didn't they, for a minute over there? They didn't know where Ben Duckett was.
How does that happen? How does it happen? Like, if you're part of a team, how is no one looking out for him there?
Is it
Like-
part of the culture of England?
Yeah, so English people, Robbie, are idiots. That's what we are, and we embrace it. And I'm an idiot. All my friends are idiots, right? That's what we do. But the drinking thing is particularly with sport. I went to Loughborough University, where the England cricket team were based. It's a huge drinking culture, and we saw all of them. You know, Monty was at Loughborough when I was there, and the England players would come and train, Flintoff and all the rest of them. Back then, it was extremely boozy, but there weren't people with bloody phones in people's faces all the time, putting it on the internet to grass them up, right? They shouldn't be doing that. But how is that the culture in 2026?
True.
It's not right, is it?
I understand when Beefy Botham is using the rest day in test matches to get hammered, but it is 2026. Anyway, this is a cyclical conversation. We'll never get to the bottom of it. One last talking point I have is Shaheen Shah Afridi. We thought his World Cup was done. He was atrocious in the first 3 games that he played. And versus India, he was unbowlable. Today, he removes Phil Salt with his first ball, gets some lateral movement in the first over, then dismisses Butler with the third ball of his second over, and finishes up his power play spell with Jacob Bethel's wicket off his second last ball. 3 for 13 in the power play. Brilliant. Ends up with 4 for 30. Ultimately, York's Harry Brook out. Goes for plenty of runs, though. Robbie, where do you see Shaheen's career? Because I feel like his body is done, but then every now and then he gives us a performance like this. He's clearly not the beast he once used to be. Where is he at?
Yeah, he didn't.
According to
he
you,
didn't go for a lot of runs, Behram, and he went for 7.5 and over, 434.
Yeah,
So,
the last over
you know,
cost 17 runs, but that was a wet ball, so I'll give him some leeway.
So I think sometimes with a lot of these kind of cricketers, right? I think sometimes a jolt in like to their senses sometimes by getting dropped awakens that fire and up. It stokes that fire a little bit, right? So I think it kind of, they put everything on the line because they know that they've dropped and then they've come back into the side and they have an opportunity. They have to perform, otherwise they can get left on the wayside and never be looked at again. And I do agree with you. I think there was a time where there were questions about his workload and him playing all 3 formats of the game for a long period of time, and he kept breaking down. That is just dumb. You know, according to me, that is just dumb shit that you shouldn't be doing to a premier fast bowler. You have no business doing that, right? You gotta look after these guys. And I'm telling you, I have a lot of empathy for fast bowlers because it is the hardest skill, man. I pretended to bowl medium pace in a first class game, and I woke up the next day sore. I cannot explain to you. And these guys, I know when if they're playing the first game of the season, their bodies are breaking past the second day. If they bowled in the first day, their bodies are shattered. Like when I say shattered, I mean shattered. So people don't understand the kind of effort it takes to be a fast bowler. And I think they've abused Shaheen Shah Afridi, as have England abused Jofra Archer, right? I think Jofra should have been if anyone had to take care of Jofra, if there was a way to take care of Jofra, you would have never made him play test match cricket. Unless you're playing on friendly conditions where you can thrive on with a swing and seam, and if there's a really, really solid bounce and it's a green wicket, that's when you play Jofra, right? Don't use him as a tool to bowl bouncers and break the living daylights out of his body. You know what I mean? That's what they did with Jofra.
They did it right at the start of his career. So Archer, when we first saw Archer, we were like, oh my God. And I remember the Hobart Hurricanes, Jofra Archer, who was terrifying. Bat ball and in the field. Gunfielder, rocket arm from the boundary. When was the last time you saw him throw it in from the boundary? Can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
England played against New Zealand early in his career. Mount Manganui it was. And I'll just read you the result. New Zealand batted once and scored 615 for 9 and won by an innings, right? Jofra had to bowl over and over again. In that innings, he bowled 42 overs. So what did they do with him in the next test match? This is a guy with a known elbow injury, right?
Yeah.
In the next test match, he bowled 28 overs in an innings. That's 70 overs across 2 innings the guy had to bowl. And we said it earlier, if you've got a precious commodity, right? You've got an absolute platinum bar who is good. Jofra is the best bowler in the world alongside Bumrah, right? That's how good
Easy.
Jofra is. And what they did is they made him play all the time instead in meaningless game. Like you say, if you're going to play him in tests, which he doesn't have the body for, perfect for T20, 4 overs when you need it. If you're going to play him in tests, bowl him when you're 1-1 against Australia in the Ashes with 1 to play or something. Let's get Jofra out, try and win a series, right? I get it. But you can't keep playing him in all these games just because he hasn't played many tests, to be fair. But he just plays over and over again. They send him around the circuit and they go, we could do with you now, Jofra. Why? In some bilateral that no one remembers the scoreline after it's finished.
It's very similar with Shaheen because both of these guys needed to be wrapped up in cotton wool, but Pakistan played him in meaningless white ball bilaterals versus Zimbabwe. And I remember Waqar Younis. Yeah, Waqar Younis, the coach at the time, said that he should be bowling more. That's how he won't get injured. And I was like, clearly you guys don't understand that fast bowlers have only an X amount of deliveries in their body. And Waqar Younis should know this better than most. But that was the case, and now we see Shaheen burnt out. And I feel like even though he'll provide glimpses of old Shaheen like he did today, especially with the new ball, living up to his USP of power play wickets, you won't see the best of him anymore.
His knees are short, right? Once a fast bowler's knees are short, unless you do incredible amount of work on it, because you also want to maximize your time under the sun as a cricket athlete, as an athlete, right? Because you got only that much of a window to make it, and we spend all of our lives, all of our youth, in trying to maximize our potential, right? In every way, as far as talent is concerned, as far as results are concerned, as far as performances are concerned, as far as finances are concerned. You want to try and make the most of it, of everything, right? And that's where you need the right guidance to say, okay, listen, if you are going away on an injury, this is what I love about Bumrah, by the way, right? If you're going away on an injury, you come back when you're actually fucking fully ready, not when you're
do you remember, Robbie?
There.
Do you remember
I said this about Bumrah on air, where I said, I saw him when he initially came back after his 9-month injury break, right? And then he came in and went back, and then so he took 6 months off after that, right? And he came back much heavier, much bigger, and I was a little concerned at that point in time, right? But come the World Cup, dude, the fucker's like a lean machine, man. He looks as good as gold, as good as Bum's ever looked, right? Yeah. And that's because he, as a cricketer, was cerebral about his return to cricket. He wanted to come back to cricket being 150% fit, even if it took a little bit of time, because he understood the USP of him being a premier fast bowler, a match winner on his own. And so what you see across Australian cricket when it comes to fast bowlers, be it Hazelwood, Cummins, Stark, whoever these guys are, right? They if even it's an iota of an injury that is progressive in nature, stop, shut down, go back into the rehab facility, come back when you're 150% fit. That is not there in I would say in a lot of subcontinent countries and in a lot of other teams as well.
I mean, both these guys were sped up, right? They were brought in too soon. Shaheen had a knee injury in a test match in Sri Lanka. They played him in that 2022 T20 World Cup, and he was great at 80% as well. Then he aggravated his injury in the final. Whereas you look at Bumrah, the BCCI took really good care of him, and they only brought him back when he was ready. And post-injury, Bumrah was even a different beast altogether. He was better than before, and he was great even before that. So it's a good comparison, and I suppose that the same thing was with Jofra. He came back from injury, bowled a few overs for Sussex, and then he was playing a test match on the flattest pitch imaginable. Anyway, we've got super chats, guys.
When you look at when you look at Jofra today, I would say 70% of the bowler he used to be.
Which is still really good. It's fine.
It's really good.
But he can't.
But it's not the same.
All together anymore. But I watched the other day. I was watching the the Bangladesh game that Bangladesh basically won, and then they didn't. Bumrah bowled a really good 19th that day, and then Dhoni did his thing, right? With the captaincy and the slowing everything down, and he got a couple of amazing stumpings that day. But I watched that game back, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" It was Bumrah. He looks a completely different man. Right, he's half the guy physically of what he then became. But firstly, India have more of a luxury than some of the teams because they're really, really good anyway. Even if Bumrah isn't playing, they can put a great bowling attack on the park. So they have that luxury. Whereas Pakistan just go, well, we've only got him and Naseem Shah, by the way, who they've done the exact same thing to. He shot to bits. And it's just like, well, we have these commodities, and it's the nowism. It's the we need to make money now. of everybody.
No, but also
Well,
there
they're thinking,
is
I'm not going to be coach in 5 years, so I'm just going
there
to
is
burn him
the
out right now.
there's the stupidity of
Yeah.
giving too much weight to useless, meaningless white ball bilaterals, right? That's what Pakistan has been
Because of
doing, and that's
money.
fucked up. You save your best assets for the big games, but they think the bilateral games are big, so that's on them. Anyway, we've been going on for quite a while. We've got some super chats. Let's do a speed round. First, we've got Raid, who says, if either team was in Group 1, ... Nothing would have changed. These are not great teams. Jasjot Singh asks, or just says, both teams tried their best to lose, but someone had to win. The match deserves 2 almost bottled it trophies. I'm not going to agree. I am going to agree. And if this game was a movie, it would be called Dumb and Dumber. That's how bad it was. But
Hey,
also
can we just
very entertaining.
Go back to Afghanistan against South Africa. That's one of the best games ever. Both of them tried to lose over and over again. It's so fun.
yeah.
That was such a fun game that was.
Top 3 T20s of all time, easy. Shiva Subramaniam says, as an Indian fan, I rooted for Pakistan to qualify for the finals. Just in case India qualifies for the finals, we don't have to play in Ahmedabad. Well, Robbie, do you think the Narendra Modi Stadium is cursed?
Shiva, one piece of advice. When you're saying things like this, you got to remove your DP, buddy.
Yeah. No, but a lot of people are saying this, that, India lose at Narendra Modi Stadium. But I think that's just, there's no correlation or causation over there. This is just random.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, that's the problem of having so much stats, right? And so much recall. You can just conjure up anything and make it look like a viable thing to say on air.
Yeah.
And people just start saying it on social media and kind of catches on, doesn't it? And
I suppose.
unless you do some deep dives into it, you don't really see any legitimacy. Like, I remember I saw something on social media where they said after Australia won the World Cup in Ahmedabad, they've not won any ICC championship after that.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
They've only lost 2 games in ICC events since losing that semi-final in Adelaide back in 2022, and both of those games have been Ahmedabad. And you can probably put that out as a fun fact, but there's no reasoning behind that. Anyway, this is a stupid conversation. And Prashant Tomar,
I'll tell you a funny story.
Uh-huh.
I remember this about Ahmedabad Stadium, right? So the old Ahmedabad Stadium, right, was Motera was, for all intents and purposes, haunted, right? There was a part of Motera where people wouldn't enter, and it was very close to the hostel of the Motera, right? And
Nice.
it was actually pretty haunted. And we've heard multiple stories of it over the years. Never really experienced it because we didn't live there, but a lot of the Gujarat team and the teams that stayed there, and the under-19 teams that stayed there, they all kind of apparently experienced it. So, well, just throwing a little bit of fuel into the fire that already exists.
Maybe those ghosts have traveled to the Narendra Modi Stadium, I suppose. But anyway, Prashant Tomar says, Do bhai dono ki dhulai. Rob, what that means is that both brothers got whacked, India and Pakistan. But Pakistan's World Cup might be over. India still have a solid chance, so there's that. There's a super chat for you, Robbie, by Kaushal Talpadi, who says, Robbie, any chance Karnataka make a comeback in Ranji final, or will Jammu and Kashmir win their first trophy? Why have Karnataka not been winning?
I think it's just early days. I think Karnataka actually set up to win this one because, the 284 for 2, that means Hubli generally is a belter of a track, So all it takes is first innings lead to win the Ranji trophy. So even if you bat for 2.5 days and you're fatigued and you've gotten out, Karnataka have the batting and the wherewithal, the depth in the batting order to be able to score those runs back and just get the first innings lead. And the team's actually gotten there after a decade, which is fucking phenomenal, to be honest. Because this team has got so much potential, right? I remember the last time we won a treble, and then subsequently I left and moved on, and a lot of other players moved on and all of that. And this team, you always felt like they were so close. They've gotten the semis. They've I think gotten into one Ranji Trophy final, not won it. Hoping that Karnataka win, because it for Karnataka it kind of happens in decades. So before we won, it happened in 2003. So before we won in 2013, it happened in 2002, where we won the plate championship, right? 2002, 2003, my first season for Ranji Trophy. And then the next time we won was in 2013-14, that was a decade later. Then 14-15 and 15-16 we won. So we won the treble. After that, we haven't won for 10 years. So I'm hoping that it's just that 10-year itch where we win again. Because I can tell you, talent's getting thin now. Talent's getting thin.
Big, right?
Rob, you were
It's
talking
5
about.
days.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It's
it is 5
days
days.
to final.
Yeah, it's a fighting game. It's a
Yep.
fighting game.
Yeah.
And you were talking about talent, right? You said India is very rich. I genuinely am a little worried about the Indian fast bowling contingent after Bumrah goes out, because I think we lose a lot of teeth after that. You know.
Well, I mean, Karnataka will have to do well against Akib Nabi, who's been having a phenomenal season, and he might
Phenomenal
represent India in Test cricket soon. And it's funny, you are from Karnataka, and my roots are from Baramulla, right? So this is you versus me in the Ranji final, Robbie. All right. Next super chat is Kunav Puthur, who says, "Do you think a hockey goalkeeper can transfer their skills to cricket wicket keeping?" I have no clue.
a hockey goalkeeper never catches a ball, mate.
Yeah, just stops the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was one of those. I think Kunav knows that I was one of those for several years back
Okay,
in the
then.
day.
Nice.
And yeah, you never catch it. You have a blocker on this hand and a stick in this hand. And I've also kept wicket for cricket teams quite badly. I found the skills that you need there absolutely not transferable. You're basically trying to smash people when you're a hockey goalkeeper, and you need lightning reactions to stop the ball. But you're not control. I mean, I was watching that Dhoni game the other day, and one of the stumpings was so mental how he managed to do it. He had like a quarter of an inch worth of space and a quarter of a second worth of time to take the bails off, and he stood and he just, no one thought there was even a chance of a stumping, and Dhoni just sort of went, whipped the bails off, pointed at square leg, and was like, yeah, I've got him there. I think that's out. And then he's got the glove off of the last ball. Like, those skills are free. He's a freak show as far as stumping people goes. But you watch him try and keep in England when the ball's swinging around and he's standing back, much more difficult. It's there's so many skills you need as a wicket keeper. But you kept a fair bit, Robbie, didn't you?
Yeah, so I think Mahi's ability to actually find a way to give for the ball with that much space before he kind of brought the gloves back towards the stumps to clip the bails off, I think that was amazing. I think one of his biggest secrets, Rob, is the fact that he had such a stable base to the spinners. Yeah. It's like his base was so stable, he was so strong with his lower body that his hands just automatically took over. I think his body took the load of the the impact of the ball, right? I think his legs and his core took the impact of the impact of the ball, and then his hands just did the magic, man. He was super fast. And
also great presence of mind, right? Like to pull off those funky runouts and everything. Well, he was elite with his spin, and
I'm sure he can do the stumpings now. He got 2 last year.
Yeah, he can still hit 6s as well. They only give him 5 balls now, but he can still smash him. All right, next super chat is by learning videos by Nick Hill. I'm sorry if this got missed, man. There it is. Shows how critical fielding is in both baseball and cricket, especially catching wise. Absolutely, man. As the adage goes, catches win matches.
Okay, I'll tell you what an issue is with fielding nowadays. I'll tell you, this went out of cricket for a bit in between. It's come back, and I noticed it. I noticed it with the South African team. So we had, I don't know if you guys know what the Skyer bat is. Do you guys know what the Skyer bat is?
No, I just know about the mongoose.
So the Skyer bat is a catching bat, right? So it's got fiberglass at the back, and it's got such a thick kind of silicone cushion on the front of it, right? It actually hits the ball a very long way up in the air, right? When I say very long way up in the air, it goes like a mile, like it goes like 60, 70 meters up in the air, right? And it hangs in the air and then comes down a lot of velocity, right? But the thing about that bat is it thuds, like it doesn't crack off the bat, right? Like a cricket bat will have a crack off it, right? This one goes like boop, like it's like doof, doof. It's like that kind of a sound. So I think spatially, a lot of catching and the way the ball comes out of a bat happens when you actually connect wood on leather, right? And at practice, they are not seeing wood on leather. They're practicing leather on silicone. So in a match, irrespective of the voice, when you hit a ball and you get a leading edge on the outside half of the bat and it's flying to third man, as the ball's coming to you, even though it's high, it's spinning in a certain way, right? It's spinning in a certain direction. So you adjust for that with your body, right? You get in a position and adjust for that. But if you're not practicing for it, and if you're not practicing the spatial part of how a bat sounds and comes off a bat, right? You can make out there's a sound that a leading edge makes. There is a sound that a top edge makes, right? And just by the virtue of that sound, what the revolutions on the ball are as a fielder if you practice to it. And now, because you're doing everything off that Skyer bat, you've lost all sense of that.
Yeah.
Your senses can't assimilate. It's a very subconscious thing, but the senses can't assimilate. And because it can't assimilate, you end up fluffing catches.
That's the sort of fielding masterclass that Rob and I can't give you. Only someone who has played cricket can give you.
The thing is, a lot of elite level sport, when you're tracking a ball, right? When you're trying, like if I was in goal, I'm trying to stop the ball, right? A lot of the time, when you get to a certain level, you don't really know that you're doing it. You do everything instinctively. Batting must be like that. I've got no idea, but it's like most of it is because your brain subconsciously, because you've trained it for thousands of hours, picks up cues, and you don't know you're picking these cues up, right?
Exactly.
So if you're practicing with a plastic bat or a silicon bat, and then in the cricket match they're using a wooden one, you're not going to pick the cues up properly. So you're used to the ball spinning like that, and today it's spinning like this, and so these routine catches are going down. And I'm glad that I've had an explanation from an actual proper cricketer about this, because I scratch my head I can't get over it, Robbie. Every day I am chucking things at the wall going, why isn't this professional sportsman able to catch? And so it must be down to bloody practicing, which
it is.
I get it.
Muscle memory, right?
If you're Italy and they literally have a couple of the players that work in a pizza shop, you may not have the time to practice in game conditions. But if India, you bloody do, don't you? And so these guys, that's so interesting, because I moan about catching on these things every day because I don't see how it's all that difficult. But you've uncovered something there, that they're not practicing in game situations. But it's all about cues, isn't it? Elite sport is all about, well, I've seen this, there's no way that you faced 90 plus miles an hour bowling. There's no way you can do that without picking up. I guess I've been told, you can tell us, half the time when the ball is coming out of the hand and you've guided it down to third man, or you picked it through a gap, a lot of the cues that you're picking up are just because you've done it millions of times, right? Rather than because you've got
muscle memory.
You've got half a second to make the decision, so you must have cues to make most of the decision for you, right?
Anyway,
100%.
guys. Okay, finish your thought. We have to speed up after that.
Because what is practice at the elite level? Practice is training your muscle memory and burning into your muscle memory what all the assimilations that happen from the time you pick the ball off the hand to you actually playing it, right? You can slow down time when you bat and you're in the zone, right? You're able to literally track the ball from the bowler's hand, even at 95 clicks an hour. You're able to track it, watch the ball pitch. You can feel yourself kind of assimilating, moving. Your body is like in rhythm with the sport. It's in rhythm with mother cricket, right? That is incredible stuff to experience. But the other times you practice for hopefully getting to that place, right, with batting. But the whole thing about practice is assimilating and building up the assimilation in your subconscious. Right, that's what cricket is about, as in practice is about at the elite level.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense, and we're definitely enriched by this conversation, but the two Robs are going to kill my bladder. I have to pee, and we need to end this show as well, so we're going to go through a speed round. Ankit Kumar says if India reaches the semis somehow, they are winning it. I think India is still favourites despite losing to South Africa. Do you guys have any different opinions?
I think India's batting has to come to the fore. I think India's batting hasn't clicked even once in this World Cup. Every game, someone or the other has rescued them. I said this from the second game. First game, Surya Kumar Yadav rescued us. The second game, Hardik and Tilak rescued us. The third game, Shivam rescued us. The fourth game, nobody rescued us, and we batted second for the first time in the tournament. So and it's like every game, one of the openers has gotten on zero, right? Yeah. That's not helping anybody. So the batting isn't kind of firing. We've just had someone coming and playing an outrageous innings that saves the Blues. But I think our batting needs to come to the fore because the bowling can't keep doing it, right? Yeah. Notwithstanding any 11, right? Like today, people talk about Aksar playing, not playing. I'm sorry, buddy, you'll have to hold your bladder on for a little bit. So Aksar playing, not playing. I think, those are contentious decisions, and people will say I'm defending Gautam Gambhir, and people will say shit like that. But like, think about it. Today, if you play Aksar, people will say, "Oh, you should have played Kuldeep." If you play Kuldeep, they will say, "Oh, you should have played Washington because South Africa had many left-handers." Like, any team you play, there's going to be contentions with that 11, right? And that's the talent that India possesses. Now, would it have helped for someone like Akshar to play in that game against one of the best teams in the comp? 100%. Because he has always done well in pressure situations when things are not going well. And especially with the way batting is going for India, I think Akshar should be in the 11.
Well, we've heard you on comms plenty of times, and I've actually made a game out of it. Every time Robbie Uthappa says patchy, you take a shot, and you'd be done for. Your liver is over. Because that's how you've been describing India.
I've said it quite a bit, haven't I?
Yeah, at one point, in the same breath, you said it 5 times. It was amazing. I even said it in the group. Anyway, cricketing V7X. Yes. Cricketing V7X says Zimbabwe versus India will be a blockbuster. We sure hope so, that every game is a blockbuster. The pace attack is a good one. Akshu says, the Clown Derby really delivered today. Full credit to Brook, though. By far the best white ball innings he's played. Yeah, I mean, you could say that it's a big one. Abhijit Shivanandan says, you need yellow to win in Ahmedabad. Even CSK won. Hey, that's a theory. Good one. Long-term Conches is calling or saying stuff to the Ahmedabad stadium. So we'll leave it at that. I don't want to take the word or use that word. And then we've got the last one. Feel like robbing all of Rob's sweaters. Shaheen should have bowled a 4th on the trot, right? He's always shit later with the old ball. And he was hoping or hooping it, which probably happens once a financial year. That's funny. Rob,
that's astute, scene uploader.
Yeah. Rob, donate your sweaters. PG Back says, Robbie using commentary phrases practiced before All Out. Has Rob Barron mentioned Robbie's 2010 IPL at 171 strike rate? Yet he has not.
There is an innings that I'm going to talk to you about, Robbie, for your IPL career, because if you'd have batted for another 5 minutes, I'd have won £38,000. And
wow.
Angelo Matthews, it wasn't your fault. It was Jack Callis's fault for bowling absolute pies. There was a horrible drop on the boundary. And Angelo Matthews in the most pointless game. It was when you were at Pune. And Angelo Matthews got the most pointless 40 anyone's ever got in a losing cause, and it cost me a fortune. But that's a whole new podcast. I can't wait to talk to you about
I mean, my bladder will tell you its strike rate right now, Rob Barron. So anyway, thank you a bunch, guys, for coming on. Richard B knows where it's at. And it was great fun to record with you, Robbie, for the first time. Rob Barron and I are always doing this, so yeah, it was a pleasure. Yeah. And for all of you who sent your comments or sent us comments, thank you for all the interactions. And thank you for the super chats as well. Go follow Commbox everywhere. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. And we'll be back once again tomorrow live after the game. Till then, have a good one. Enjoy yourselves and goodbye.
100 years ago, something truly remarkable happened in cricket. No one knew how to get Bradman out. And so some of the smartest minds in English cricket got together in a smoke-filled room at Lord's and they talked it out. It is no different than you talking with your uncle, with you whispering at the back of the bus, with you sitting around in the tea room arguing with your friends. This is what we do in cricket. We love the game, we talk about the game. And that is what we do at Commbox, where the game lives on.